So how do you identify crabgrass? You're taking a walk around your yard and you will see a difference in color. Right here is a big patch of crabgrass. You can see around it, it is darker green, but crabgrass itself is a lighter shade of green. And then you will see that the leaves are rolled in, the edges are pointy, and you also have, in some cases, again in some cases, you will have a lot of hair around the leaves and the stem. So this over here, my dear friends, is crabgrass. Again, you will see the difference in color. So see, over here it is dark green, but where we have that big patch of crabgrass, it is a lighter shade of green. So another close up. This is a stolon, I think, of centipede, but this here is crabgrass. You can see how hairy it is. The leaves are kind of rolled, and the tip is also pointed. So that is how you identify crabgrass. Again, in your case, you might have smooth crabgrass, in which case you will not have these hairs which you see. But in my case, I have the hairy crabgrass. And here are some more examples of crabgrass. You can see from the top, it looks like a crab with legs coming out in all directions. And here is a close-up of this crabgrass. You can see how the leaves are rolled, pointed edges. And again, this grows when the soil is compacted and there is no other grass or weed to compete with. So here it is. This all here around the base of this pine tree is in fact crabgrass. Here it is, another example. And I think in this case, this is the best example for smooth crabgrass, because me personally, I don't see the hairy things which were present on the other example of crabgrass which I gave you earlier in this video. Here is another example which I want to give you, and I think this is the best example to give and show how crabgrass can be sometimes, thought of as or mistaken for St. Augustine. So, two patches of grasses over here, right? One of them is crabgrass, the other is St. Augustine. Now, let me tell you, this here is crabgrass, and again, if you have a look at the leaf, it is pointy and it is also curling out. Same thing for this one, right? But if you have a look at the leaf blade for this one, you will notice that the leaf blade, I mean, on this one is pointy, but over here it is rounded. Same over here. And they do look pretty similar, but this one over here is crabgrass, this one over here is St. Augustine. So if you're hand pulling your weeds, especially late in the season for crabgrass, make sure you are pulling out crabgrass only and not St. Augustine. Another way of identifying crabgrass from, say, any other grass is by the lack of runners. So this here is a perfect example. You see this runner and you see this other piece of grass. So this here is proper grass, whereas this here is crabgrass. And if I pull it out, you see, this is how the root looks like. It's like a meshy root and there is no tap root. Same thing with this one. Let us go ahead and pull this one out and I can show you the root system. So here it is. That is how the roots on crabgrass looks like. You do not have runners and the root is not tap root. Now, what I mean by tap root is like a single root going down deep into the ground. That's taproot. This here is kind of meshy. I do not know the exact term for this, but this is how the root system on crabgrass looks like. And the last way of telling whether you have crabgrass or some other grass is by looking at the seed head. So here it is. This is one of the seed heads of crabgrass, and that is another way of telling that this here in fact is crabgrass. I'll try to get a close up of this with a better background. So here it is, peeps. This is the seed head of crabgrass. As you can see, it is very thin, and I have three of these seed heads popping out from the same spot. So that is another telltale way of telling that you have crabgrass infestation, or the weed which is growing in your lawn is crabgrass. And hopefully this video helped you out in identifying crabgrass.